Hello, everyone, and welcome to Self Mastery Sessions with Lisa Drew and Friends. That's the new working name for for the sessions. So, to start us off, first of all, welcome everyone, and I'm excited that you're here with us today. So, this is, I think, session number 5, either 4 or 5. And we have Miss Faith that's going to be joining us today. She joined us for the first session. So if you didn't see that one, go ahead and click through and find it. It was a very interesting conversation. It was awesome. So we have her here with us today. But to start us out, as I always say, life doesn't come with a pause button, but it does give us opportunities to choose how we respond in situations. Each of these sessions, we explore real life situations. We explore relationship challenges and everyday struggles through the lens of self-mastery. So the goal is not to judge others or judge ourselves, but it is to better understand ourselves and how we interact with others. So please note these sessions are for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. So they are not therapy, not counseling, not legal advice, not medical advice, or mental health treatments in any way. And myself and my friends, associates, anyone who joins us here, we're not acting as therapists, attorneys, physicians, or licensed mental health professionals. And if you are experiencing a mental health crisis or need professional support, please seek assistance from a qualified provider. The situations discussed may be based on viewer submissions, educational examples, or common life experiences, and identifying details may be changed to protect privacy. So I do change the names if names are used and locations and things like that, to maintain privacy of everyone involved. So remember, you cannot always control what happens to you, but you can learn how to master how you respond. Welcome to Self-Mastery Sessions. I am going to bring Faith up to the stage, and I'm going to allow her to do a brief intro of herself. Just share a quick snippet about yourself. Even just let us know how you got the nickname Faith. What's the reason behind that, or anything else that you want to share? So I am going to add that she did make me wear this headband today. She said that I wore it for the first session, and if I didn't wear it, she would not come up on stage. So you can thank her for that. And come on up, Faith. Good to have you here. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. I hope it's
Good morning.
I came up with the nickname Faith, if that's what we want to call it, for various reasons. Actually, I tell when people ask me my name, sometimes I say Faith Blessing because I want people to, no matter what, hope, faith, hold on to that as a reminder. In anything we may be going through. So that's what inspired me to choose faith over anything and everything. Um, but I'm a mom of 5. I'm in school and very good friends with Lisa. And I love the topics that we that that we talk about, speak on, and out on her platform, support and watching her soar. So there you go.
Oh, thank you for that. Yes, Faith is a longtime friend, and we have a lot of conversations, fun conversations,
Mm.
fun filled, about life, about everything. And yes, one thing that she always shares is her faith. So that name is very fitting for her, as you will see with her feedback and her input. And I'm just glad to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm loving the headband.
She made me put it on, guys. She really
Oh,
did.
yeah.
She
Yes.
really did. So if you don't like it, just just know it was all her fault.
I think I want her to get them in multiple colors, actually.
I do. I did get other ones. I didn't tell you. I'm gonna try the different ones out. I'm trying to. I thought I had my next question queued up, but I think I accidentally closed the page when I was clicking around. So I'm going to.
That's because we were, your headband wants to outshine everything. So it had to be the most
Is
important.
that what it's doing?
That's what it was doing, girl.
It is shiny. That not all of them were shiny that I got. Maybe I need to find some more. So
Yeah,
shiny.
the shiny ones I like. The shiny ones, yeah.
Okay. 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 All right. Yeah, I have to because if I don't wear what she likes, she's gonna talk about me later. So I have to keep it together. Okay. You know I'm serious. Okay, I found our next scenario. It is entitled "Why Am I So Defensive?" Why am I so defensive? So, just to intro this topic, have you ever experienced, and not just you, Faith, I just mean the audience, someone offers feedback and you start explaining or over explaining? You defend, you justify, you argue, and then later wonder why you reacted so strongly or just why that even bothered you so much. So here's the question. Dear Coach Drew, whenever someone gives me feedback, I become defensive, even when I know they were trying to help. Why do I react this way? Interesting, interesting, interesting. I will start out by saying that this is a natural human response. I would say this is a natural human response, and it's self-protection. One of the main things that we want to feel as humans is safety. We want to feel safe. And if someone is criticizing us or pointing out a flaw, oftentimes that makes us feel off balance, right? So when feedback feels like an attack, it's usually because we've attached our identity to being right, and more importantly, not being wrong. I think it's a fear of not being wrong, right? Because it feels like rejection. It feels like someone is rejecting a part of you. And when I feel like we're still hardwired to seek acceptance in our earlier days, when we still, don't get me wrong, we still need each other to survive, right? But years and years and years ago, we really needed each other, right? We lived in close-knit secure communities. We needed each other to feel secure and to you needed to be accepted into the community. If you were not accepted and you were ostracized or you did something that people didn't like, you could be cast out of the community. So it's kind of that feeling that if people don't accept me, can I survive? Right? I feel like it's like a instinctive thing that we kind of go to. So again, being able to calm ourselves and work our way through that in the moment helps a lot, because logically we know we're still safe, but inside it feels like you're not safe. It feels like if I don't fix this, there could be consequences. And it's interesting because when I talk about it, it does seem illogical, but in that moment, it feels real, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think back to times when I felt defensive so that I can like fully embody the question and like answer it from that perspective. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
A lot. When I think about it, the question, I think of behaviors and what were we subjected to or okayed in our life to create excessive excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe areas we lack nothing eternally, but on the outside, younger, you feel like where you may be lacking um, attention, you may not be as far as intention, going all the way back to when you're younger and trying to prove to yourself, trying to put on your big girl panties. I'll say that, and figuring it out when you didn't have that direction. So overextending yourself, over explaining, being defensive when you did not truly have anybody here to defend you. And you're just trying to figure it out. I think it personally resonates with me because those are things that I think of when I overly, because even personal things I can be asking you was like, that was, like, so,
You went back to that moment.
back to that moment, it went like, so my name is Faith, but she'll be like, Tanika, because I got to slow down. I overly explain. I overly do this, be defensive. But it also, I have learned self-control and also to take it in because I see those habits within my children. So I do believe it does. You have to work. It's a work in progress. It definitely is. It won't happen overnight, and it's reprogramming up here. It's okay to say less. Um, and it's nothing it's a lot has to do with forgiving oneself.
Mhm.
So that's where on you know unless you just plan just telling a story, but it's still something to some people just like to do it. I mean, I got those too, but from my personal experience, and I work with a lot of children, um minds and in the school system and in the neighborhood and so on. And I see those patterns, but it's much broader than what we physically see with our eyes. So, yeah, my take. So, thus far.
It really is much broader and much deeper than what we see on the surface. And when you were talking, when you said that defensiveness comes up with how we, comes from how we may have been raised and things that we experienced when we were younger, that we felt like we had to defend ourselves, or if we didn't, someone else wouldn't be there to defend us. Yeah, that struck me hard, because I feel like that goes into and for lack of a better term, because I'm not saying it's a trend, but I know it's called a trend, the trend of parental alienation, right? Where people are going no contact. That's the word. I was reaching for that word. Going no contact with their parents, and it's such a big deal, and people have strong feelings about it on both sides. And some people can't understand how anyone could ever do that. But I feel like that plays a role in it as well, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's human nature to, if someone criticizes us, to feel unsafe. And if the person that's constantly criticizing you when you're growing up, they're constantly making you feel unsafe, or didn't make you safe and defend you around others, and they're still making you feel unsafe, I feel like that part of it doesn't always come into play. How, and I'm not saying I think people should or shouldn't, go no contact with their parents. I don't think that's for me to say. That's a hard decision, and that's that's up to the person that is doing it or not doing it. But it's that level of safety. And then as an adult, if you're still constantly being criticized by the person that you're still seeking validation from, and they either can't or won't give it to you, then some people do feel like, well, that's the only option. So again, that's why I love the self-mastery coaching so much. I love this topic so much, because I have really found that because we're seeking validation from someone else, that's why it hurts when we feel like we don't get it. That's why it hurts when we don't, when they criticize us, or it may be constructive feedback, but it doesn't feel that way because we don't have that validation within ourselves. But truly, if you find that inner validation, and some people are, very religious, some people aren't religious. I hate to say that, I would never say you can only feel validated from prayer and from God, but that's where some people draw their strength from. Other people who don't have that, does that mean you can't feel validated? No, you can still kind of retrain your brain to understand and believe that you are whole without that, without this outward thing. But it really does change the playing field, because we get defensive because we're seeking validation, because we don't feel like we have it within ourselves. But once you have it within yourself, whether you get it from the outside world, it's not survival based. You feel like you don't need it anymore. And you can take even criticism as constructive. You can take something that someone actually meant to harm you as something positive, because you start to hear it differently, right? So yeah, building that self confidence and that self belief really does help us to not feel like we have to defend ourselves or over explain, because we know that we're okay either way. With over explaining, I feel like we think if we can get them to understand, If they agree with me, then I'm okay. So we try to get them to agree with us instead of, okay, well, I'll just answer the question. I'll let them know what my boundary is or how I feel about it. And then whether they accept it, I'm okay. If they don't, I'm okay. So that's where I'm leaning towards. Did anything come up for you while I was talking?
Um,
And I don't want to put you on the spot. If it didn't, that's fine too.
no, I did think of talking when you, based on when you said when you had, you may feel like you have to defend yourself when you had no one there. And it's really not just the parents, it's your whomever may have raised you, your environment. Some people choose to tune it out. But I think if, like she said, I'm not a therapist. I just telling you my life experiences, is I strongly just suggest think about soul searching, because especially when you have children and you see certain patterns that you have, and then you have a better understanding of them when you're seeking healing. Um, you get a different perspective, and you don't want your children to emulate what you've done, those, and finding later in life how to figure it out. So I just be encouraged to be encouraging to you all. I stay encouraged to be encouraging to someone else, to always seek healing. Um, for it's bigger than us, especially when we have a great responsibility in something like our children or whomever we may be impacting. So that's where it is, because I see those behaviors and how they can trickle down. And my children range from 28 to the oldest son, and down to the youngest is 12. Um, and it's very critical to me. Yeah, so that's all I encourage us to do.
Mic is muted. Ooh, I didn't realize I was muted. Thank you. That was so cute. You're like, no, I was saying I like what you said about you stay encouraged so that you can encourage others. It just reminded me of, filling up your own cup so that you have something to give. Awesome. I love it. So I'm going to go to the next question, but just to close out on that one, it's criticism or feedback isn't necessarily isn't bad on its own. Strong people are not the ones that never receive criticism. Strong people, competent people get feedback all the time. Everyone gets feedback. It's kind of like, the rain falls on the just and the unjust. Everybody is subject to getting feedback, even if it's someone who is seemingly perfect, right? So remembering that as well may help, but being able to receive feedback without being destroyed by it is where we want to be. And one of the ways to get there is to begin improving your beliefs about yourself, right? Becoming stronger in who you believe you are, so that the outside world can't easily tear you down. So remember this, if someone points out a weakness, they haven't created the weakness. They noticed it. They noticed it, and it may be a weakness, or it may just be their viewpoint, because that's something else. People, we don't see the world the way it is. We see the world the way we are. So just because someone else thinks it's a weakness, it may actually be your strength. So that doesn't mean you need to run and go change it. It's just something to reflect on and learn from, right? So the next time you receive feedback, just remember to pause before responding. If you feel yourself getting upset about it, let's do our deep breathing, the box breathing, and ask yourself, what if this person is helping me see something that I can't see on my own? And sometimes a simple question can help you shift your mindset so you're not kind of stressing out about it. And once you remove that stress, that level of anxiety around it, you can start to see things more clearly, right? It's a different situation now, as opposed to us just reacting. Okay, scenario 18. So, wow, we must have done 5 sessions so far to be at this number. Okay, I feel like everyone needs something from me. I feel like everyone needs something from me. So here's an example. Your phone rings. Someone might need advice, a favor, money, support, time, energy, and somehow everyone seems to know where to find you. So have you ever felt like that, where you're scared to answer your phone sometimes because you feel like someone might need something from you that you don't have? Let's get to the question. So, dear Coach Drew, I feel exhausted because everyone depends on me. Family, friends, coworkers, and even strangers seem to come to me with their problems. I want to help, but I'm overwhelmed. What should I do? What should I do? So the first thing that comes to mind when I read that question is boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Because, and it's kind of what kind of goes back to what Faith said earlier, that we have to encourage ourselves in order to encourage others. You may not always be at a point where you're ready to pour into others. So just because your phone rings, it doesn't mean that you have to answer it. Just because someone has an emergency, it doesn't have to become your emergency. So those are the first things that are coming to mind. And a helper. There's a lot of helpers out there. I'm a helper. A lot of helpers usually work with children, or become nurses or teachers or life coaches, helpers. But being a helper, you can easily become exhausted because we often confuse being needed with being valued. And the two are not the same. So being needed can make you feel important, but being valued feels healthy. So evaluating if the people who you keep pouring into, do they need you and value you, or do they just need you? And that's something to consider, because when you feel valued, you will also feel like you're being filled up when in the midst of these conversations, in the midst of helping. So if every relationship depends on constant sacrifice, eventually you'll burn out. Now, sacrifice, I use that term loosely. I don't really like that concept of sacrifice. Sacrifice, and I'm going to look up the actual definition of sacrifice, right? And there's a reason for this, because to me, sacrifice means that you're giving from a place of lack, or you're in a deficit, you're in a loss, right? And like we were talking about before, we should never give from a place of lack. If we are going to give love and kindness to others, but we don't have love and kindness within ourselves, what are you actually giving the person? Right? I can't give someone something I don't have. This is for lack of a better prop, my AirPod case. I can't, if I don't have AirPods, let me hide that off screen. If I don't have AirPods, I can't give it to someone else. Like, I have to physically have something if I'm going to give it to someone else. So if you don't have it yourself, how are you giving it, right? Because I hear a lot of people saying, I'm exhausted, but I gave my time and energy anyway. That's going to make you feel more depleted. And you're actually harming yourself physically, emotionally, mentally by doing that. So something of value given up or lost for the sake of something else. Loss, sacrifice, giving of something precious. So there are times when a sacrifice is going to be needed, but if that is your everyday way of living and way of interacting, it's going to be detrimental. And even when you do sacrifice, there needs to be a time of replenishment. So feeling exhausted, going back to the question, I feel exhausted because everyone depends on me. Feeling exhausted tells me that we are not replenishing ourselves, either before, which is preferable, or after you are helping others. That self-replenishment needs to take place. Okay? Because if every relationship depends on your constant sacrifice, eventually you'll burn out. You cannot be everyone's emergency contact for life. So the goal isn't to stop caring. It's to stop caring more than you are able to. Because in a healthy relationship, both people are supporting each other. And in an unhealthy relationship, one person is constantly carrying the other, which is going to lead to that feeling of exhaustion. And like I said, at times that may be necessary, but if it's constant, it is going to deplete. It is going to deplete one person. So I will end with this and then turn it over to Faith. Let me know if you need me to repeat the question, because I saw your signal was gone for a while. But you can care deeply without carrying everything. You can care deeply without carrying everything. So did you hear the question, or do you need me to repeat it? You're good. So
I heard the question. It's funny that that's the topic. Just personally, I just got a call. Shared a snip of the same thing. I'm, like I stated, I'm a mom. So my son calls, not to say good morning sometimes, not to say how are you doing, and just an example of how I myself can care, but I have to still have boundaries for not just for myself, also for him, for because what it is enabling and setting up, and he's not being accountable for his actions. Um, Calling me when he needs a ride, every thinking I'm going to be here to do all those things. And I have been the rug, wiped my feet on, done this, do it all. My son, I'm a new grandmother at this time. So he has a child and he's 22. And
Tell
he
us
has,
your grandma name.
oh, it is Lola Ma. And
I love it.
Lola in uh in the Philippines, I woke up to the name Lola, and I just dawned on me to look up the name Lola. What did it mean? And in the Philippines, Lola means honorable, respectable, all of this grandmother. So it was nothing but God. So my granddaughter called me Lola Ma or whatever she would like, really. But I thought that was just amazing. Um, but just like she said, healthy boundaries. It's really within you how you choose to go about it, because I'm setting him up, for failure. That's just what it is. Because if there wasn't me, who else would it be? And I was just speaking on that, not to go in deep, but it's really healthy boundary for oneself, one peace of mind, one person's peace. And you don't have to overextend yourself, because you do get exhausted. That's just like, because you can't do it all. None of us can. And it doesn't come out. Well, that's just like me cooking. I used to like cooking. Over when I come visit my partner, I enjoy cooking here. It's quiet. It's not, no, at home, it's 1,000 things going on. And not that I don't cook there, but it's just totally, I get a chance to breathe. But we need to take these things are going to exist, especially for me, regardless of what age my children are, especially while they're minors, for quite some time. So, I have to channel within myself how I choose to approach it. What things I need to let them learn natural consequence. I need to know sometimes the beauty in the word no, for them to exercise the word no. Um, for discipline, so they won't be stressed, um, and things like that. Um, so I know, again, it's relatable to me, to me, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other mothers out there, because we love so hard, and especially ones that don't, want to be their child everything, and we've made some mistakes, and you want to be there, you try to make it up and compensate for it in other ways, but it's not worth compensating yourself, because we all have to carry our own cross. And if you're not a religious, but we still have to be accountable. But I cannot keep extending myself for my son, um, and no one else either. You know, so you don't always have to do it. Sometimes it takes you to reflect. What am I getting in the way of if I do this? You got to start asking yourself questions. Why? What if? And pause before you respond to them or other people. If you stop, what is it, Lisa? The oh my goodness, is it the 3 R's or the reset, something, regroup, something? Anyway, when I come back with it, I don't know, but it's something about the R's. It's something about the R.
Is this something I told you?
Well, I know it's a saying. It's something that I've heard multiple times, but you know who told me? The last person we talked, the one of the pastors in my church. She's also a therapist, psychiatrist, but we talk. But the point of it is that we have to pause, regroup, before being impulsive, before think things through. It might be you trying to, just like I have a granddaughter now. It may be I have 3 other things to do, but all of a sudden I get a call for, can you watch your granddaughter? It's not going to be wise for me to do so if I have these other things. If I'm squeezing it in, it's going to put stress on me. You want to be just clear, just you have to think it through, and be realistic with oneself. That's the thing. Be realistic to oneself, and that's even me. Daily, it's good. Even like I'm disobedient because I don't write in the journal like I should. I don't write. I have these things to provide myself itinerary to do all of those things, but it's good if you meet yourself where you are. Get a post-it, lay 3 words down or 2, and focus on those things to help you deal with situations like that, because it starts with oneself. It starts with your behaviors and how you try to, yes, be a people pleaser, and that's pretty much somewhat what it is, because you can't do everything. You're going to run yourself ragged. I just sat here and I don't notice, even when I'm sitting here on a live with Lisa, Dr. Drew, and I'm looking in the camera, how sometimes I'm tense and I don't even know why. And I looked here, and I said, it was just strong. And I'm like, why is something painful here? Not focusing. And then I just released.
Yes.
Consciously, you don't know until I took, because while we're on live, I'm recording myself. And I'm looking, I'm like, And I said, how much energy? Just relax. This is not stressful. I enjoy this. This is good, a good outlet for me. I'm gonna use that word. So I mean, I think again has to we all, it begins with oneself and how we choose what we do with ourselves in order to deal with what's outside of us individually. So again, and especially if you have those children, trust me, I'm trying to tell you, you have to set those boundaries. Very important, because they will not learn, and they'll learn. It might be a lesson that, but if you can intervene by doing your part, I strongly encourage it. Strongly encourage it. That's my take. I do like the topic. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I have to send a special thank you to the person who sent that question. But definitely, it's especially as a parent, because then it's hard to know when you should and when you shouldn't. It's when they're, at any age really. And then is there an age where you totally stop helping? I don't know all the answers. I'm glad I don't have to know all the answers. But it reminds me of the story of the butterfly in the cocoon. I don't know if you've heard this, but there was a butterfly trying to get out of a cocoon. This man was walking by. He saw it on a tree, and it kept fighting to get through. It looked like it couldn't get through the cocoon, right? So he decided, I'll help him get out of the cocoon. So he takes out his little pocket knife and cuts the sides open, and gets the butterfly out of the cocoon. So he's looking at the butterfly, trying to figure out why it's not flying off. And the wings are are like fat, like there's fluid inside of the wings. So essentially, the fluid is supposed to be pushed out of the wings while it's struggling to get out of the cocoon. That struggle is essential for the growth and life of the butterfly. And since it did not struggle to get out of the cocoon, since it was not able to push the fluid out of its wings, that butterfly will never fly. It's essentially going to die right where it is. And even that, I feel like, is a lesson for parents. Sometimes we try to do too much for our children, right? It was a video I saw, I think it was on LinkedIn. This man was walking along a bridge. They were like different ropes set up. So his toddler was walking behind him, and he just stepped over the ropes easily, and he kept walking. Didn't walk away totally, right? He was still pretty close by. And the little toddler is looking at the dad and like trying to figure out why he isn't helping him, right? So then he starts trying to get through the ropes, and then he gets stuck. Dad comes over, gets the boy out of the tangles of the ropes and puts him back on the other side, and then takes a few steps away. And the boy, keeps struggling, and he eventually figures out how to get by the ropes, and he is just so happy that he is free and he can now run to dad. So again, those things remind me that I know for me, if I was walking on a bridge like that with my kid, I would have picked the kid up and pulled him over. But he would have lost that lesson. He would have not had that struggle. He's now stronger and smarter because he was able to fight through that on his own. So sometimes as parents, we are hindering the growth of our children because we try to do too much for them, right? So finding ways to explain that and express that to them in love is, I think, the most important thing in moments like that. Because when we're not going to help them, I mean, for me, this is, I don't know, the mothering in me. I wouldn't just want to walk away and just say, I'm not helping you. Like, I would want to have that conversation and explain why and encourage them that they can do it. I don't know. But still, is that giving too much? But definitely, I will reiterate that compassion without boundaries becomes exhaustion. So feeling overwhelmed in a situation where you're constantly helping is going to lead to exhaustion, is going to lead to resentment. And that's not something that we want for those that are close to us. So if you find yourself in a situation like that, I want you to ask yourself, which problems belong to me and which ones have I adopted? Which problems have I adopted? Which problems belong to me and which problems have I adopted? And calm yourself before doing that. What do I mean by calm yourself? That deep breathing. And also what Faith mentioned. She mentioned she was feeling tension in her face. All of that is signs of being in fight or flight or experiencing something that we don't like, right? So it doesn't even have to be that you're stressed out. Anytime you think of something that you don't like, we actually tense up and don't realize it. So it could be in your face, it could be your head, it could be in your chest area, it can be wherever. And that tensing up, I have found through experience and through coaching others, that is what causes the stress and the issues to stay and linger longer, right? If we can relax those muscles that we are tensing, then that thought or that emotion can now flow through and keep going. We're holding it longer inside of us. So I am going to go to question number 3, and then hopefully we'll have Faith come back. She may be listening just off camera. So next question, and then we will begin to close. Why am I afraid to be seen? So this relates to people who want to start a business, launch a podcast, write a book, post a video, speak on the stage. They want to do these things, but feel like every time they get close, they hesitate. They hesitate. Here's a question. Dear Coach Drew, I have big dreams, but I keep holding myself back. The thought of people judging me makes me freeze. That's that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. How do I stop worrying about what everyone thinks? I feel like this goes back to our first question for today, where we're talking about criticism and feedback and how that makes us feel unsafe. So I have big dreams, but I keep holding myself back. Thought of people judging me makes me freeze. How do I stop worrying about what everyone thinks? So most people call issues like this fear of failure. Fear of failure. I would say it's fear of visibility. Failure feels painful. Being seen can feel terrifying. Again, your heart starts beating faster. You're taking shorter breaths. Your muscles are tensing up, right? All of those things are happening because once people see you, they can judge you. Once people see you, they can criticize you, they can misunderstand you, they can form conclusions about you that may not even be true. But here's the truth about that. People are already thinking about themselves far more than they're thinking about you. People think about themselves far more than they think about you. So that fear of judgment has buried more dreams than lack of talent has. We stop ourselves when we have that fear of judgment, where we don't know what someone's going to say or if they're going to receive our message, if they're even going to tune in. Reminding ourselves that we don't need everyone to approve. You don't need someone else's approval. You just need enough courage to proceed without approval. And it feels vulnerable. So again, calming your breathing. Because in that moment, if you come into awareness of what's going on inside of you, if you come into that awareness, you'll realize you are breathing faster. You are tensing up. You are thinking negative thoughts in that moment. So pause, reset, reframe that situation, because that's something else. Many of us, actually all of us, it's not what happens to us that really knocks us down. It's the story that we tell ourselves about what happens to us. That story and that message that we're telling ourselves is what is going to make us feel good or bad about a situation. What story are we telling ourselves? Right? And assigning meaning of good or bad to something can cause us to now go into this fight or flight response. There's a story of a farmer and a horse, right? And this is actually, it's an old fable, and it is the basis of one of my books, The Wheel C Theory. And I'll explain why. Everyone's like, what, a wheel? No. So the farmer and the horse. There was a farmer, and he had a horse, lived on a farm, had a family, and was very happy. One day his horse ran away. Okay, everyone in the village came by and said, "Oh, what sad news for you. We're so sorry for your loss. This is such bad news." The farmer said, "We'll see." A few days later, the horse came back with 2 wild horses. Everyone in the village came by and said, "Oh, such good news. We're so happy for you and your family." The farmer said, "We'll see." The next day, his son was riding one of the horses and got thrown off and broke a leg. Everyone said, "Such horrible news. So sorry that this happened to you." And the farmer said, "We'll see." A few days later, the army officials came by to take all of the able-bodied young men to war. Everyone said, "We're so sorry for your loss. This is such, everyone said," oh, I jumped the story. Where was I? Okay, the army officials came by. Everyone who had an able-bodied son or, whatever family members that were able to go off to war, they were taken. So everyone was in a sad state. They came by and visited the farmer and saw that his son was still there. His son couldn't be taken because of his broken leg. They all said, "Well, this is good news for you. Congratulations. We're so happy for you and your family." And the farmer said, "We'll see." The idea behind that, the lesson that we can take away from the farmer and the horse, is that things aren't good or bad until we say it is. The story has not ended. It's not over yet. So something that seems bad could turn into something positive. Something that's positive can flip, right? So putting all of this energy and assigning a negative meaning to anything that happens in our lives it's not worth it, because it's going to put us into a spiral. It's going to put us into a moment where we're having a pity party or we're thinking of all the negative things that can happen. That's what happens when we're striving for someone else's approval. That's what happens when we are doing the what ifs, when we want to post a video or write a book or launch a podcast. If you find yourself stuck in the what ifs and they're all negative, a mindset shift can definitely change that. Because what meaning are you assigning to that? You find yourself in this situation, I want you to ask yourself, what would I do if judgment were impossible? If it was impossible that someone would judge me negatively, what would I do? What is on my list of things that will make me happy, make me feel fulfilled, and take me to that next level? And take at least one step in that direction today. So that is the close of our final question. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat or any comments. I would definitely share those with you. Oh, that's what that does. So playing around with the software. So put your comments in the chat. If you have any questions that you want featured on our next episode, go ahead and send them over to me. If you have not liked, followed, or subscribed, do that as well, so you get the notifications for our upcoming sessions. And thank you for being here today. It was great to have you here. Great to see you guys in the audience. I will see you guys next time.